Well, fellas, it's been a rough couple of months for me. I lost a job. I gained a job. I lost a job. I got denied unemployment because I told my boss to eat shit and die. I didn't think that would matter because I did it after I got fired, but I guess it does. I just don't really feel like I've got a lot of self-worth right now. And, I just wish I could talk to someone who would just tell me, just acknowledge these positive traits I feel like I have, you know? But everyone in my family is being thankful for things right now. So I've got to go online. Thankfully, this video popped up into my feed from the Night's Watch, from YouTuber Shadiversity, who talks about medieval weaponry and battles and tactics and stuff like this. I'm really hoping that he can maybe give me some real old world chivalry help, right? I mean, knights and stuff, you know, like, these guys were poets. This was the era of romance. This was, you know, when a warrior became more than a savage and a barbarian. He became an ideal, and he made the world a better place. I'm really hoping that I can get something good out of this. And I hope that you can too. That's why I wanted to record this and share it with you.
You might have heard the saying that men are born with nothing and women are born with everything.
Alright, this is not where I thought it was going to go.
Like that. Women are born with inherent value and men need to build their value, earn their value as they grow older. And women lose that kind of value or something like that as they grow older, and men, they gain more value as they grow older, something like that.
I can't say that makes me feel a whole lot better. Kind of feels more like it's putting down women, which I guess I'm not too big of a fan of. I've got a sister. I've worked with women all my life. I'm very close with the women in my family. I can't say I care too much for that statement. It sounds like as women get older, they lose something, which I feel like is not true. I don't think that's particularly the case. Well, maybe Shad will find a way to talk about how we all have value, right?
I hate that mentality.
Me too, Shad. Alright, we're on the same page again.
Because could we slow down and just think about it a little bit more? And
of course we can.
If you join me with this kind of logical analysis as we consider it properly, I hope you will discover with me the inherent falsehood and lies in this mentality, because it is full of crap.
It sure is.
Alright? First of all, the thing that I hate about it is that it is trying to, and it's focused towards young men. Now,
I don't know if it is. I mean, yeah, saying guys don't really start with anything is pretty bad, but it sounds like it's saying women can never get better. It kind of sounds like it's saying that they start out as good as they're ever going to be. That's a little belittling, I think.
Now, I get why young men can see this as an empowering message where, you know, you're not going to be given anything in life for free. So you need to take life by the balls and earn what you have. You need to build value, make yourself a worthwhile man, and build yourself into the type of person that people will want to give attention to and that women would want to be around and have a relationship with.
Alright, I feel like maybe I shouldn't. I feel like there should be something more meaningful than just attracting women, right? Because knights, a lot of them were like chaste, weren't they? Like Gawain, he was like the chaste knight, or was that Galahad? Like those guys, right? Like they weren't doing it to get laid, they were doing it for bigger ideals. I was kind of hoping we might talk about that.
There is truth to that, absolutely. But if you think that doesn't apply to women in a lot of instances, you'll be wrong. And if you think that certain men can't be born with... First of all, everyone is valuable.
I feel like I agree with that statement. I don't feel like you do.
All right, and because but no, that's kind of like a platitude. People might say that no. Think about value in society. That society doesn't really care about men, and they have to develop and earn their value as they go through life.
I feel like my problem is that I don't cultivate self-worth in myself, and I feel like I would like to know how to do that.
Okay, first of all, the type of value that people talk about when it regards to women that they have inherently in and of themselves is regarding beauty more often. That
Women are the most beautiful when they're born.
Women have a type of youth and beauty and fertility that lessens as they grow older, and
I feel like this is going in weird places.
And so women's kind of value has always been regarded as higher than men. First of all, that actually isn't true.
I'm sorry, are we going to talk about knights?
Not always. The idea that good-looking men don't have or are perceived given certain privileges even early on when they're young, by the sake of them being attractive, that doesn't exist. This is a complete bit of bullcrap. Okay.
He seemed really upset when he said that there are pretty men who have it easier. That seemed like it really struck a chord with him.
The thing called the halo effect absolutely also applies to men as it applies to women. Really good-looking guys, okay, suddenly, like the type of value that this mentality, this narrative ascribes to women having inherently, all right, that actually applies to really good-looking guys where women are suddenly attracted to them. What work did they do if they're just really good-looking and they have put in minimal efforts to even exercise, to gain resources or any number of things like that?
I feel like when we talk about good-looking men, they do put in effort. Usually, like, they exercise so that they look nice physically, right? But also, they style themselves. They groom themselves. They put product in their hair. They might wear makeup to some degree. I feel like they actually put a lot of work into looking nice and presentable, and that's probably why women do like them. What was that about gaining resources?
And women still will throw themselves at it, all right? And then there are just inherent traits like charisma and stuff that people can be born with. The fact that, like...
I feel like when I was born, I was not particularly charismatic. I think that's actually something that you have to develop, like, over time. I don't think there's any way to stumble into charisma.
Are people forgetting just normal reality when we really think about this? And I'm not saying people are dumb. I'm not saying that, okay? I'm saying that I think people can get confused when they are told something that has a vein of truth. Because remember, I said there's like a vein of truth in there.
Where's the vein of truth?
And that can mask them from the deception that's actually being weaved here, okay? Because absolutely, people... regardless, like, we're not born equally, and some people are just born with better looks, better charisma, better talents.
You can be born more talented, or you can be born more charismatic. I think the problem here is that these are all pretty subjective, aren't they? Like, there are women who think that ugly dude from The Bear is super hot, and I think he looks like he was, like, put underneath a steamroller or something. He looks like a shrinky dink that was left in the oven for too long. But at the same time, there's a lot of women that most people would consider conventionally attractive that I wouldn't really feel that way about. You know, it all is subjective, isn't it? Different people respond to different things. So talking about these as, like, inherent traits you're born with, that's a little short-sighted. I don't think this guy knows what he's talking about.
Better at any number of things, right? That they are able to use to their advantage, even at a very young age. Then there are the inherent kind of differences between men and women, and this type of value that's ascribed to women in terms of youth and fertility and stuff like that. All right, as soon as a guy hits puberty, and even a couple of years into it and everything, he's automatically going to start to be much stronger than the average woman. So the average boy...
I feel like the average 13-year-old is still going to lose a fight against a woman who is, like, doing strength training, who is learning how to fight, Or maybe just a woman who has a weapon.
Boy guy is already going to be much stronger and everything. And that additional strength has always, like, for a very long time, I won't say always, but in many, many cases, has always been ascribed tremendous value, okay? The idea that if it was always a universal thing, and people might say, well, it's not universal, it's talking about society currently. So I'll get to the perception of society currently. But the idea that men's inherent strength and their natural characteristics that come to them for being males, right, has never been valued inherently in society is absolutely false, okay?
I don't know if being told I need to lift more is what I expected when I joined this video.
The strength that men have and have been able to offer society and also women, even from a very young age, as soon as that, those differences in sex starts to manifest more predominantly, absolutely has been valued greatly and has resulted in certain type of gender roles, as well as positions of authority and leadership, by the way, as well.
Doesn't he sound like he's trying to, hide what he just said there, right? Like he's saying something naughty, and he doesn't want you to know what he means.
Historically. Now, I've pushed back against the notion that women have never had power historically. That is false. That's a lie. Don't let, extremist feminists tell you otherwise.
Are the extremist feminists the ones who are telling us women historically have had no value? I think what they're saying is that the average woman had less value societally than the average man. When guys say that there's never been women in positions of power, I feel like they're more like you, Shad.
Women often have had many instances of power, and more predominantly, the type of power that they've been able to wield is a concept called inwards flowing power.
Well, this inwards flowing power is probably, pretty impressive, right? Like, women have greater spiritual strength, maybe. They have more fortitude because they have to put up with more prejudice, maybe. Values like that, and that makes them stronger spiritual leaders in a real way and like that, right?
Where they manage the processes and order of a household, okay? What's on the menu for dinner?
All right, that's what women get. Men get to be physically stronger leaders, and women get to pick what's on the dinner menu. All right.
Hiring, firing of staff, raising of children, okay? Internal.
The women get to do chores and take care of the kids, and the men get to lead.
All kind of associations, relationships, and things like that. Women have often had a lot of control and a lot of power, and men have usually fulfilled the role of outwards flowing power, which is, negotiations with different tribes, different peoples, different business associates. And
what I understand, women tend to be, better at teamwork, whereas men kind of let their egos get in the way of things. So a woman might be better at things like diplomacy.
Yep. And also resolution of conflict, men will usually take the forefront, because if conflict can never be resolved peacefully, it gets resolved violently, and men are better equipped to handling violence than women, and so...
For pretty much all of history, the people who run things are not the ones at the forefront of the fight. Like the chieftain, or the king, or the baron, or whatever, the generals... They're in the back, because if they die, well, the army has no leadership. So that's not going to work very well. So they're usually in the back giving orders. And the soldiers do the fighting. There's actually a whole term for the guys on the front line. They're called infantry. And usually, if a diplomat is doing negotiations, they have a handful of soldiers with them who would fight on their behalf in case things got bad.
Therefore, the people who are going to be taking the role of negotiating and maneuvering through possible conflicts are going to be men, and it has been through most of history. All right? So anyway, that's addressing the idea of male and feminine power. But because men have been given certain roles in society that come inherent from their strength, they've absolutely been considered given value and regard and position and roles in society based on the value that people just understood subconsciously because of the nature of our genders, race, and everything.
Wait, our race? What does that have to do with it?
Women also valued for many, many things as well. Of course, there's beauty, but there's also fertility, and there's also their ability to connect and to raise children.
So men get to be fighters. Women have beauty, fertility, and the ability to raise children. I feel like all three of those traits also belong to men, though. So that's not. I don't know what that means.
And understand people and associate, so there are so many things, and in many instances, there's been times when women have been undervalued.
Yeah, and there have been times where men have been overvalued. So the inverse is true, right?
And there's been instances where men have been considered more disposable as well. And I get all those things, when the Titanic is going down, women and children are saved, and men. I'm sure there were some men who felt forced into that position, but you'd be lying if you say that no men chose to go down with that Titanic of their own accord as a sacrifice to protect those weaker than themselves.
Why did he get so intense talking about the Titanic? That was like a watershed moment for him. He had a religious awakening there.
There were absolutely many men who did that on the Titanic and have done it all through history. And so, what about modern society? Does modern society regard men as having inherent value? Well, it depends on which part of society, which individuals, and which groups and things like that. And
it's a weird amount of nuance for that part, isn't it? He, the rest of it, he was given pretty broad strokes. There, he got a lot of detail down.
And the plight of young men is bad in modern society. I'm not saying it isn't, all right? And especially if you are treated as having no value, they're awful people that you wouldn't want to associate with anyway, all right? You should not accept the idea that you have no value, because that is a profound lie. Absolutely, you have an inherent value as being men.
I feel like I don't actually want my value to be determined by my gender. I feel like I would want my value to be determined by something more unique to me. Maybe something that I, worked towards, right? Like my personality, or something I've created, or, how I treat other people. Things like that. I think that's how I would rather be defined than sexual dimorphism that everyone has, but also that I don't really cultivate meaningfully. I guess I would feel different about it if I was, working out a lot. I would probably take a lot of pride in my physicality, because I put in a lot of effort towards that. But I really don't. And it's not something I consider very high. And I don't think I would frame it as I have worth because the women can't do this. I think that would make me feel not great.
Value that you have inherently. You'll be stronger than most women in your life, okay? That is a thing of value.
Right, men have inherent value, and women need to be taken down a peg. I feel like my physical strength is not what I'm looking for here with these affirmations. I don't know if this makes me feel better.
And people say, men don't need to protect women as much because they can protect themselves in modern society.
They can buy a gun. There's mace. You can use a knife. There's a lot of ways a woman can, do significant damage to someone physically stronger than them. So that helps. We would also, I think the idealized answer to this is that we've cultivated a society where we don't have to live in fear of each other, and people don't take violent action against one another for the most part. And that'll always exist to some degree, but you walk down the street, you're probably safer than you would have been 1,000 years ago. Or 50 years ago.
Until you see female police officers trying to take down male criminals, and then you can really see how successful women are in many types of modern conflicts still.
Very weird that he just says he basically says all female cops are worthless there, but you can fire a gun, right? If a woman pulls a gun on you, and you don't take it seriously, that's on you.
And no, women still need men to protect and also provide, okay?
But also, like, if a dude pulls a gun on you, and it doesn't matter how physically fit you are, if you get hit, you're fucked. That's significant damage. Even if it's like a 9mm or some shit, like, you're gonna be fucked up for a bit.
Especially if they're wanting to raise a children. The very basic biological kind of, I say agreement, but like, that's what originally marriage was, okay? It was an agreement that kind of came out of a biological thing. That's if you look at it more material.
Marriage originally was a political thing where people from different families would have their kids intertwined, and now they're one and the same, so they're less likely to take action against each other. That's what it was originally. It was like a financial thing. And now we've kind of changed it, so these days it's more of a spiritual, emotional act that two people kind of are forged in.
Perspective. I have a more religious perspective as to the origin of marriage.
That means he doesn't believe the gay should be able to do it.
But even if we look at it from a more material kind of point of view, is that women, when they're pregnant, well, pregnancy can be a very debilitating thing. And there are some women who can handle it better, but some women who really, really struggle. In fact, there's a lot of women who struggle, especially towards later pregnancy. And so they need someone who can help them out. And by the way, because pregnancy is usually, well, not usually, it's always the result of two people doing something, okay?
He is really pissed at the thought of people fucking, ain't he? Someone needs to get laid.
Okay. There is a man in that kind of, action who is responsible for the pregnancy as well. And so if he has any virtue or honor, he is going to be supporting the results of his action, which is fathering a child. And they should absolutely be there to help out. The woman should be his wife, okay, through that pregnancy while she struggles with it, because it can be very difficult and very debilitating. And so right then is the value that men have inherently, okay?
This also is like a role that like women could provide for a pregnant woman, right? Like when you're pregnant, it's not just the husband that protects you. It would be your mother and your sisters and family and neighbors and friends. And your dad and your brother and your grandpa. Like humans live in packs. That's what a family is. That's why we're supposed to be so tight-knit. Like, yeah, if you knock someone up, you should abide by them and take care of them. And you shouldn't knock someone up unless you're going to be there for a while, but, like, it's not a vacuum.
One of the inherent values that men have is that they do not get debilitated when pregnancy occurs, and they are fully physically capable to be able to continue giving what they have inherently valuable in this relationship, which is still needed. To try and say that the state can offer it, and the state can try, but nowhere near as good as what a devoted husband can offer, okay? As well as protection, by the way. The police don't always come on time or even are available, especially if certain,
especially if certain people are around and, they soak up all the resources and now the cops can't get anywhere because they're taking care of them.
Areas are getting defunded, right? That there's going to need men protecting women and families. And
he was so deliberate there, like he was trying to remind himself of the point he was trying to make.
And so the role of protector and provider hasn't disappeared, and men are capable of doing that inherently better than women because of their inherent strength.
Yeah, if you live in a country that doesn't have guns or any sort of weapons at all, and that's also assuming that you've cultivated that strength and have some level of experience fighting. Which, with real weapons, not your cutesy little swords.
That is a value that you have as a man that is inherent to you, okay?
Sounds like it's just something that all men have, from your perspective. This doesn't make me feel much better. I don't feel like I've actually earned anything here.
So don't let anyone tell you that you don't have inherent value as a man. You absolutely do, as well as other important characteristics. And there's many.
Okay. All right, now we're getting into the stuff I was interested in. All right, what else do I have? Come on.
all the masculine virtues if you look at them, right?
Yeah, like what?
And then you, as a young man, you can see what virtues you have a bit that might be larger than other masculine virtues.
Yeah, what should I look for?
Those are, well, they're virtues.
Right, like what?
They are things that you have that are absolutely inherently valuable. Now, this isn't to say that you shouldn't be building yourself up to be better, and that you...
No, let's pull it back a minute. What are these things that I'm trying to cultivate here? Can you give me some examples? I need a little direction.
You shouldn't expect anything to be given to you for free.
No, I don't want it. I mean, I don't need it given to me. I just need it described to me so I can make it.
And also, if you are like just inherently good looking and you have the halo effect, and people will just perceive you as like giving you certain privileges as an effect of, you know, just being really good looking, right?
Why are you talking about this again? That's not what I like. Why do you harp on this point?
You shouldn't rely on those or use it as a crutch, or especially not a crutch, or manipulate and use them as a cheap kind of way to, you know, get what you want. And by the way, women shouldn't do that either, right?
Okay. Don't use my looks, and I'm stronger than women, so I deserve respect. Alright, one of those things I can abide by, I guess. I don't know about the other one.
Not say you can't use your looks to attract a good person, but looks, well, they're only skin deep, okay? The true actual value of a person is who they are as an individual.
Well, the last 12 minutes have taught me that my true value is how much I can bench press, so...
Even though, you know, an attractive surface appearance can be the thing that attracts your attention, the vastly more important thing to determine if this is a good person, a person they want to give your attention and time to, is if they are a good person.
Right, okay, but why did you only told me that my strength is what gives me innate value? Shouldn't you have emphasized that being a good person gives me value? That seems more practical, doesn't it?
Who they are inside. So don't get distracted by prettiness on the surface, and don't rely on prettiness as a surface to get people to give you more attention than you really deserve, because you only deserve attention from other people, regard from other people, time from other people, if you're a good person, okay?
Why haven't you talked about this the whole time? Why haven't you described what makes someone a good person? Or the traits that make someone worth venturing out for, and cultivate that stuff? Why did you spend this whole time telling me I was better because I could beat women up?
You treat other people with kindness and respect and all those good things as well. And the other side to this whole idea that women have inherent value and men have to earn everything, what about girls that are not stereotypically beautiful?
Yeah, what about the uggos? What are they fucking gonna do?
That most people would look at and consider to be unattractive, okay? You think they're not going to have to build up other traits to attract and make themselves better and to make themselves, you know, an attractive prospect for marriage and other things like that? They don't have difficulties that they're going to face? Yeah.
I mean, the answer here might be that maybe you should develop your own self-worth outside of that. So if you do have trouble connecting with other people and finding lovers and stuff like that, you're emotionally okay and stable and are fulfilled without those things. And then that'll probably make it easier to find people who feel that way about you, because you'll have traits that they are seeking out and that they admire and love. Am I on the right track? Those sound like things that you could get without being stronger than another person. So I think I'm going in the wrong direction here.
Yeah, I can say this whole idea of women having inherent value and men not needing to build it is a lie and a twisted kind of thing from the actual truth that is the halo effect, that attractive people just get the, you know, good-looking privilege that they get. And that applies to both.
What is happening here? Where are we? I thought we were talking about the worth of being a man.
Men and women. Describe it only to women and not to men, and that women who are lacking in the looks department don't have problems, that things are, you know, are not perceived as having as much value. Like, this is just a common thing in reality. And so what I really kind of hear when I hear this narrative of men, you don't have value and everything like that, I can see how people can see it as a positive building thing in the sense that you need to take control of your own life. You need to be empowered and everything. But that's a message that women need as well, by the way. And
Okay, we need to be empowered. How do we do that?
Empowering message. But the other side to this message
All right, we're moving away from. Okay, all right.
is a promotion of victim mentality and victimhood, that you are just have an inherent disadvantage for the sake of an immutable characteristic of your birth. And by the way, my heart bleeds for the plight of young men and the difficulties that young men are facing. I'm not saying there aren't inherent difficulties that young men are facing more so than ever before in society.
Inherent issues that we as men are facing. Well, like what? Is it that because of the advent of things like guns and technology, and just living in a overall more peaceful society, our superior strength is actually not as big of a deal as it used to be, and so we have to cultivate other traits? Is that it?
One of those things that they're facing is the lie that is being told to them that they don't have value. Okay?
Oh, okay, that's what it is.
Because men who think that they don't have value, suddenly it's going to have so many negative follow-through effects. It's like, if you don't think you have inherent value, well, what's the hope in trying to build yourself much? Because you don't have any value. What really can be achieved if you're already a valueless individual who have nothing that society really regards? And that's the other lie.
Well, you would get value. That's what you would be doing, is you would cultivate value. Right? Like, you start with no money, you work, you get money. And if you keep cultivating money, you don't have to work anymore. At least that's what they tell me. That part hasn't happened for me yet.
Most of society, not everyone in society thinks that. And I can prove that because I don't believe it. All right?
Well, thank God Shad is on my side. Thank God the Shad man is here.
You think all society believes that young men don't have value? Well, I'll prove that wrong, because I believe you do. You absolutely have value, okay? Not everyone in society thinks that lie. And one of the ways that we can make it better for young men is stop promoting it by actually telling them how much value they absolutely have.
What's up with this foo-foo ass haircut?
As young men.
Alright, so from this, I have gleamed. I have innate value because I'm stronger than women are. And they should respect me for that. But what if they don't respect me? What do I do with that? I guess there's only one thing you really can do with your innate strength. So, I guess I'm gonna spend my Thanksgiving beating women up? I guess I should go find some female cops. Alright, well, I guess that works for my self-worth reassessment. I don't feel much better. Kinda feel worse. It's probably because of the TB. It's probably because of the tuberculosis.